So a part of me doesn't even really want to make this video. I'd almost rather turn it into a time-lapse painting, but I feel like I need to talk about this. Like 2020's theme for me is being more open and being more just transparent about who I am and my feelings and stuff like that. So a part of me is like really nervous to talk about this stuff, but at the same time, a part of me is like, no, Carrie, you need to talk about this. If you are new here, my name is Carrie and I am the artist behind Watercolor Misfit, and welcome to my lovely channel. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of a story time, which I actually haven't done on this channel in a really long time, but a lot of you have asked for me to do them since I stopped. So get yourself a cup of coffee and let's go ahead and sit down and just have some fun as we share some thoughts. So a lot of the times, the way I keep up with all of y'all is through Instagram. That being said, in 2019, I asked all of y'all, what is something that you would like to see from me in the year of 2020? And a couple of y'all, I think I asked this in like October, a couple of y'all were like, oh, we want challenges, we want challenges. And when you said that, I was like, oh, I don't want to do challenges. I really hate challenges. I hate them. And that's partially why I don't want to talk about this, because I know a lot of people really do like them. But at the same time, as I started digging, at first I was like, I'm just going to put this aside and not think about it for a little bit and just get through the holidays, and I'll worry about it in 2020. So in 2020, I basically asked y'all again, okay, if I did challenges, what would y'all like to see? And it was very, very interesting. A lot of y'all said, I'm really overwhelmed with challenges, and that's how I feel. Could we not do daily challenges, but rather weekly challenges? And I think 3 or 4 of you, I really wish I knew your usernames because I would totally shout y'all out right now. But 3 or 4 of you said, I would almost rather do projects where you did mini projects that built up to a larger project, and basically that covered an entire month. And I was like, that is a great idea. Like for me, I don't like challenges. And I think the main reason is because I feel like I have to do an entire project in one day. And I feel so much pressure to do it to the standard that I usually do all of my artwork with. And so I always, like at the end, even though I did Inktober in October, looking back on those drawings, I look at them and I'm like, I'm not really happy with these. Like I spent time on this, but I'm not really happy with what came out of it. They just didn't look like me. That's the best way to, I guess, describe it. I was just frustrated with it. And I always felt bad about my art afterwards is another thing. Like whenever I would do challenges are supposed to pump you up and make you feel like, oh yeah, I did great, yeah, and stuff. And every time I would finish a challenge, I always felt like, this sucks. I hate this. Like I want to crumble this piece of paper up and just throw it away. So that was my thoughts towards challenges. And what I found interesting is when I was asking all of you on Instagram, a lot of y'all had the same thought process that I did. I was like, this is not what challenges are really supposed to be about. Challenges are supposed to build you up, make you feel better, and help you perfect your craft. They're supposed to help you get out of your comfort zone and get out of your box and push you in a way that you probably wouldn't have thought before. But if you're getting to the end of the challenge and you're just depressed and you feel frustrated with your artwork, if anything, that's backtracking you from where you really want to go. So when I first set out to approach this new set of challenges with watercolor, I was a little bit dreading it, to be perfectly honest, for February. Even though I like the idea of doing mini projects to build up to the larger project as y'all suggested, I was leery of it because I've never really had good success with watercolor challenges. That being said, the first week I started, it was exploring magenta, and that was something that honestly I needed to do anyway because I basically told y'all in December that I was gonna look into that and work through that. And all I did was basically swatching and playing around with colors, and if y'all haven't watched that video, I'll make sure to link it. But basically I was looking for a light fast magenta that could work as a primary color. And I went through my whole exploration of that. And after I got done with it, I was really pumped. I was like, okay, this is cool. How can I use this in a future illustration? So I was starting to like kind of think through things and just process in a more slower mentality. So the second week came around, and I believe that one was iridescent studies, and I have a lot of different iridescents. So I was just playing around with that next and trying to figure out what kind of iridescence I could use. And I was even thinking, ooh, I could use iridescence to make like glass look sparkly, or I could use iridescence to make it look like maybe powder or baking like theme, like confectionery sugar or like sugar all over the place. So I was thinking about that. And so anyway, as I started doing these mini projects that were building up to the larger theme project, which is what you're seeing on the screen now, the time-lapse painting, I have to say, I was so excited for doing this painting. And it's basically because since I was doing these mini projects or mini challenges and really exploring my paints and just taking kind of my time, by the time I finally got to the final painting, I was super excited to use what I had learned in the challenge, in those mini challenges. I was so excited to use what I had learned through those into the final painting. So here are some of the things that I learned during the weeks. The first thing is I learned with the magenta study, even though I did find a light fast magenta, I still really like my not light fast magenta. I can get really bright, just light colors with that one. So for this painting, I did use the Opera Rose that is not light fast. I did use some of the Winsor & Newton Permanent Rose for this painting, but I used those more for like the purpley hues that were just kind of toned down a little bit. And yeah, so just that first challenge, I started to realize more of what I like in colors. So that was one thing that I learned with challenge number 1. And then challenge number 2 was the iridescent study. And I realized that I really like mixing my iridescent watercolor medium with my paints. I really enjoy doing that. So a lot of paints will create these iridescent colors, but it's a lot cheaper if you just buy Winsor & Newton iridescent medium and then mix that in with your current paints. So that's what I did. And I explored all these different ways of using iridescence, but I found myself continually going back to that particular supply. And then for the third thing was splatter. That was a texture study. And I think this one was probably the most eye-opening for me. For me personally, I don't like things to look super messy and just like crazy in my illustrations. So I was trying to think of ways that I could kind of harness the splatter technique so that it would only end up where I wanted it. And I came up with this idea of doing splatter guards. And it's basically this like clear, not really clear, but it's just this plastic sheet. And I cut a hole in it, and then wherever I wanted the splatter to basically be on my painting, I would make the hole big enough in that plastic sheet to cover my entire painting, and then only let the splatter go through that hole. So that was the last kind of challenge thing that took place. That being said, at the very, very end of this whole month of painting with this challenge, I am going to continue with this method. I loved it in that it allowed me to take my time. It also, sometimes like I didn't have more than 5 minutes to really work on this, because I've been working on a lot of other larger projects right now that are taking a good amount of time. And sometimes I just didn't have a lot of time to give to a challenge. And so it was nice having those mini challenges, because I could decide how in depth I wanted to go into it or how minimal I wanted to go into it. What I learned through this entire process is this setup with challenges actually helped unlock my creativity better than the daily challenges that I've done in the past. And it's simply because I could kind of marinate on the idea of looking at one specific topic or one specific technique and really, really think about it. So sometimes with these, like the week, especially for splatter, I worked on that for about 3 days. And I was thinking of all these different ways of how to do splatter. So I played around with brushes, different types of brushes, different types of bristles, different types of supplies to create splatter. And what I ended up finding was I actually liked the natural sponge, using that for a very small, minimal splatter effect. And then using the toothbrush for a little bit of a larger effect. But if I hadn't had the time basically that week to really play around with splatter, I never would have figured that out. So anyway, after listening to all of you and talking to all of you and doing this challenge with all of you, that was another thing that was really exciting, because I got to see, as I was doing my challenges, y'all were doing your challenges, and I'm gonna put some of your stuff on the screen. But it was really cool seeing your thought processes and how you were going about doing the challenges as well. I just felt inspired and just so excited to jump into watercolor once again, with new eyes and new thought process. So anyway, long story short, I really did enjoy this entire month of this challenge. This is the first, I would say, watercolor challenge that I actually felt like when I finished it, I was excited and happy of what came out of it. I have become a lover of challenges now, but I had to find the challenge like manner that fit me. So, and this method fits me, and there's nothing wrong with that. People who do everyday challenges or like challenges that are full illustrations, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people need that, but for me personally, I needed something that was more of a slower method where I could think about it, and I'm just so happy that a lot of y'all felt the same way. That being said, I have a new challenge going on for the month of March. If y'all would like to get involved in it and be featured in a future video, I'm going to be doing another one of these story times where I kind of just break down what I thought and what I learned during the whole month. If y'all want to be featured, make sure to check out the blog post down below. I'm going to give all the information of how to get involved with it and everything like that. But I hope you enjoyed this. This is gonna be a long video, but at the same time, it's kind of just a sit down coffee storytime video. So anyway, lots of love, y'all. Keep on painting and just have fun with it, which is what I did this entire month. So lots of love, y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.